your teaching experience, have you ever had a nemesis?
The question is probably, have I ever not had one? No. So, yes, but it's difficult to narrow it down, but I guess I could think about it in terms of I've had people who didn't feel like I should be promoted or even tenured for that matter. So when I went through the process of getting tenure, and let me just clarify, because some people think about this, I have family members who are like, tenure, what is that, just a lifetime job? But, there's more to it than that. In some ways you can think about it, it's job security for sure. And you earn it, you earn it based on what you bring to the table, what you give to the university, and the amount of service you give to the university. And for me, that was a lot. And when you publish, you bring attention, good attention to the university. You give them a name, you make students want to come there because they read some book by you or some article by you. So people need to understand that it's not just this cushy thing that people just have these lifetime jobs that they don't deserve, right? So when I was going for tenure, within your department, you have people vote on whether or not you should get tenure and whether or not you should get promoted, right? So, and then once they vote, then it goes to a campus-wide committee that votes. And then the provost votes and all of that. So for within my own department, and I believe there were only 3 people on the committee at that time, because only people who are tenured can be on your committee. And it would have been more, but a year or 2 before I went up for tenure, 2 people who didn't like each other in my department, one kind of made it so the other one got pushed out of our department. And that person went to another department. And that person was an ally for me. Like from day one when I started at the university, was an ally. But suddenly I'm going up for tenure and that person can't be on the committee. And it was voted that, okay, she should get tenure, but not promoted. She shouldn't be promoted to an associate professor. So that was voted down. And I was just kind of like, are you kidding me? It was argued that, I hadn't published enough. I had done quite a bit of service at the university because oftentimes I was recruited as the only young Black, faculty. She should be on this committee and she should be on that and she should be. So I was doing a lot, but supposedly not published enough. At the end of the day, it was just that I hadn't published in the kinds of places they thought I should, because publishing in the Journal of Black Studies wasn't necessarily as worthy, perhaps, as some other journals. So, again, like I said, it's subjective. So I was being judged on those things. So I had to fight. I had to write a rebuttal, and I had to argue why I was worthy to be promoted to associate professor. And then at the end of it all, I still had to come back and work with these people and I knew exactly who had voted against me, because the vote was 2 to 1, because there was only 3 people who were voting. I knew who the 1 was that voted for me. I knew the 2 that voted against me. And then after I was victorious, which of course I was, had to work with these people again. And the irony of that story is many years later, when one of those people was going up for a promotion to the next level as a full professor, I had to vote. And I heard, a little birdie told me that that person was worried about whether or not I was gonna vote for them. And I just sent that little birdie back with a message that, I vote based on merit. I vote based on whether or not somebody did the things that, are expected for that promotion, not based on whether or not I like that person.
Right. Not all of us stoop so low.
Exactly.
Right.
So I didn't like Michelle told us, and I went, when they go
They go
low.
low, we go
Right,
high,
yeah. So
That's great. Yeah.
that's my story.
I had a similar moment in which I had to go high when someone went low. In my life, I don't think I've accumulated a lot of enemies or arch nemesis, but in my first tenure track teaching position, I certainly did. I don't know how, what I did to piss this person off besides be, a strong, outspoken, confident black male.
Yeah.
But that was enough to piss this person off.
Exactly.
But just being in the room.
Yeah.
Made that person uncomfortable because they were no longer the new it or the person with the most prestigious, publications, background, and work, right? Or degree, right? So this person had it out for me from the start, but I'm not saying gender, but they were not in a position of power to do anything. But after about a year or two, that changed, and that person became, without being too detailed, that person became in a more localized leadership position with a title. A person who controls your schedule, your classes, what you teach, where your office is, that kind of thing. And that person came after everything. You shouldn't be in that office anymore. We want to put you in the smallest office, right? Because my office was too nice. You shouldn't have that schedule, right? But the biggest thing that this person came after me about was my level of creative activity, which is tantamount to publishing and scholarship.
Right.
So that person felt that I was spending too much time off campus, right, doing creative work. Oh, he's always out directing or acting.
Doing
Is he spending
actual.
doing things that's a part of my job responsibility, right?
Exactly.
Teaching, service, creative activity, scholarship, and research, right? And for me, as a performer, doing performances was that. That was 1/3. Right, doing too much performing. Is he ever spending any time teaching? Well, my reviews are good, so clearly that's not something you can come after me for.
Right.
But there was an incident in which I was cast in a big box office film, and I had to be away for a couple of days. And I had enough time in advance to notify everyone. There was a big vote that was happening in my department. I sent a proxy vote that I knew everything that was going on. I read the agenda for the meeting. I was prepared to be absent. It's not like I just fled my job responsibilities, right?
Right.
I had someone cover for a class for me. I was prepared so that no one missed a beat. The faculty wouldn't miss me, and the students were well taken care of. Do you know, I got the nastiest email from this person saying, where does your allegiance lie? You don't know your responsibilities. You're spending way too much time off campus. You should be focusing on your classes. I'm not really sure that you want to be a teacher, like as if I'm just treating this as like a way to make money while I'm off doing my career.
Right.
As if I'm being negligent or derelict in my duties, right? So my first thought was, why would this person be so unkind in an email? Like, this is receipts enough for days.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like, it's one thing to inappropriately say it to me in person, but to put it on paper. So, of course, what I did was I shared it with my other colleagues to say, is this appropriate?
Right.
Is it just me? Am I being self-conscious? Like, am I being, too sensitive?
Right.
Or is this person clearly out to get me?
Right.
And I responded very gently. I tried to go as high as I could go by saying, I just want to remind you that my performances are a part of my job responsibilities here. Not only is it a part of my job responsibilities, but the kind of work I do at this, in my professional career as an actor, director, doing voiceovers, which are seen around the world, doing movies like this, which students are going to see around the world, is what brings students here.
Exactly.
It is why our enrollment for our program has increased twofold since I've been here as their principal acting teacher. So I just want to remind you of that, that if I don't do this kind of work, what do students need to be here for?
Exactly.
Why not go somewhere else?
Exactly. And they would want an acting professor who's actually out there getting acting jobs, right?
Who they can see on TV, or they see on commercials, or they see in films.
Exactly. But you bring up a good point, that question of, and we're gonna also, you'll see this in our show, is how we often have to ask ourselves, am I being, is it just me? Am I being crazy? Is this racist? Like you have to ask yourself, is this about the fact that I am who I am? I am a person of color. And you often have to do that when you're in a setting like a predominantly white institution, where, oftentimes we are the only one in our department kind of thing. And we're questioned like that. Our credibility or whatever is questioned. And then we have to kind of go back to ourselves and say, am I just crazy? Is it me? And unless we have a community that we can talk about these things with, you don't know.
Yeah. I have to add to that, the ultimate, I don't want to say revenge, but it was certainly sweet, was that a year later, no, actually it was later that year, I received a President's Award in Excellence, which is the highest award you can get that's not tenure related, which came with an award, a ceremony, and money for excellence in creative activity, scholarship, and research, not just in my field, but across the university, in every field, in every focus, So that was the ultimate sort of,
absolutely.
I don't know if I can say this on IG, but ultimate FU, right?
right.
That which you complained about, I'm being rewarded for by the university president, so take that.
I hear you. I hear you. The person who didn't want me to be promoted has seen me become faculty senate president and a presidential darling.
Right.
But
high-ranking member.
Yeah. And then had to, be afraid of me when they wanted a promotion. So, there are those times when you can kind of brush your shoulders off.
Right. Payback's a you-know-what.
Exactly. If this is a show you'd want to see,
support us by following, liking, and subscribing to Teaching While Black TV.
Because Black content matters.